The 8th of November 2024, and we're live streaming from Radhakund, and we're into verse 6 of Damodarastakam. And today, for the devotees in Pujapad Bhaktivedanta Madhav Maharaj's Parikrama schedule, which is what we've been following, they have a rest day today. So that's the schedule with that Parikrama. So we'll just have our kirtan, and then we'll begin reading from Damodarastakam. Namamishvaram Satchit Ananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Pracharam Yasodabhiyo Lokalatavanam Param Rishtam Aryantam Dodutagogya Rudantam Mohurnetra Yugram Vijantam Karam Bhoja Yugmeva Satankanetram Mushvasaka Patriye Hankakanta Stita Swaniladi Ananda Kunde Swagoshami Bhajanta Anyapayanta Tade Shita Neshu Bhakta-jitavam Purna Prematastam Samritimande Varam Deva Moksham Na Mokshamadimva Natanyam Vineha Parishavadiya Idam Tenukam Sadam Vivaya Dante Mukham Bhoja Ayanta Nilay Vritam Kunjalaishmita Rakshasya Bhogya Muskundita Bimbharatakarambe Manasya Lishtam Namo Deva Damoda Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prabhu Dukha Jalavimanam Kripa Dristi Vristyati Dinam Vatanu Preman Nishama Madhya Devyashavishya Tata Prema Namo Shiva Pradevi Namo Dareva Namaste Sudhamne Spuradiptidhamne Vadiyona Rayata Vishwasya Dhamne Namo Radhika Yaitvariya Priyaye Namo Natavivaya Devaya Turyam Namo Radhika Yaitvariya Priyaye Radha Damodar Ju ki jai. Radha Govinda Ju ki jai. Jai Nityananda Rai ki jai. Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai. Shrimati Radharani Brishabhana Nandini Vajeshwari Radharani ki jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Sarashishimat Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Sarashishimat Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Sarashishimat Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Astotar Sarashishimat Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaudakishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Jai Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Srila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudi Acharya ki jai. Jai Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Tripura ki jai. Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shibata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Paradasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's ki jai. Arupa Nuga Guru Varga ki jai. Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gaura Parsada ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Sikahol Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gaudrandvip Madhyadvip Koladvip Ritudvip Janadvip Motandvip Rutudvip Atmakanavadvip Dham ki jai. Baduravan, Bandiravan, Bailvan, Lohavan, Mahavan, Madhuvan, Talvan, Kamudvan, Bahulavan, Vrindavan, Kadyavan, Kamyavan, Brajamandal ki jai. Shishi Radha Krishna Gopa Gopiko Govardhan Dwadasar Matmika Shri Brajamandal ki jai. Shri Radha Kun Shama Kun Ganga Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Maharani ki jai. Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani ki jai. Shrimati Yogamaya Purnamasi Devi Maharani ki jai. Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra ki jai. Ketra Mandal ki jai. Sarva Vigna Vanasa Karishina Shingadev Bhagavan ki jai. Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Charidam ki jai. Chari Sampradaya ki jai. Charya ki jai. Akadamat Raj Shri Chaitanya Mat ki jai. Shri Keshavji Gaudiya Mat ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Om Maginati Mirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadaliye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Anabhita Chirim Chirat Kurunaivartino Kalo Samadapaitam Unnata Ujvalarasam Swabhakti Shriyam Haripurata Sundarata Dikadamba Sadipta Sada Hridare Kandare Spuratu Vasachinandanaha Priya Sarupe Taita Sarupe Prema Sarupe Sahajabi Rupe Nijana Rupe Prabhueka Rupe Tatana Rupe Swavilasa Rupe Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptas Chakarmadi Tarangamadi Kripamai Tvam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasya Vadami Radham Karunam Baradram Tato Mamanasti Kadina Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayam Charantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om, Asto Tarasara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Leela Pravishta Om, Asto Tarasara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and all our illustrious Rupanuga Guru Varga, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord. My Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vancha kalpa turubhyascha, kripa sindhu vevacha, patitanam pavnebhyo Vaishnave namo. So coming to our Damodarastakam, 6th verse, and Satyabhama Muni has come to the conclusion. We've seen the escalation in his desire. First of all, he wanted to see Balagopal's form in his heart. And then in the 5th verse, he wanted to see just the smiling, beautiful face. Only that. So we see his focus and his eagerness increasing. But now he's wondering, how can I attain this goal? This goal seems, to Satyabhama Muni, this goal seems so far, so high to achieve. Just like us in our practices, we might be hearing the precepts and conceptions of Radha Dasyam, and it's so high. How can I ever begin to catch that? But the conclusion for us and for Satyabhama Muni, which he came to, is this Sankirtan, the holy names of the Lord. In this age of Kali, only in this Kali Yuga, there are 1,000 Kali Yugas in the day of Lord Brahma, so it's only in this Kali Yuga that the holy name is specifically empowered. Previously, the holy name was there, but it was never empowered in the same way. And it's like the servants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are so empowered to withstand the immensity of the separation moods, like Rupa Goswami was able to write all about the separation moods between Radha and Krishna. He was able to write the intimate past. Shukadeva Goswami couldn't speak that without going into complete ecstasy, because he didn't have that empowerment to control the ecstasies. But Rupa Goswami, he would, there's a pastime where he's sitting in an assembly with so many devotees, and they're all falling down in ecstasy, weeping. But Rupa Goswami is just sitting solidly. And the devotees are thinking, he's not experiencing anything? But then they put one cotton piece of cotton under his nose, and it just bursts into flame. So they realize that he's able to control, to hold that internal separation mood because of the holy name, because of Mahaprabhu's mercy. He's empowered to speak and share these topics. Others were not, because they would become too much ecstatic. Shukadeva in particular, after the Aghasura pastime, for example, is described in the 10th canto. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur described that Shukadeva becomes completely ecstatic because Parikshit is asking for more and more pastimes. So Shukadeva thinks of more pastimes and becomes totally lost in ecstasy. And it's described that Vyasadeva and the other people in the assembly, Narad Rishi, they all gathered around Shukadeva, and they had loud kirtan into his ears, this holy name, to bring him back into his present senses so that he could complete this Bhagavatam. We can read this pastime at the end of the Aghasura pastime in the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Artha Darshani. This was before he described the Brahma Vimohan Leela. So this Sankirtan, we cannot estimate the extraordinary quality of this. And we described yesterday how the first Sankirtan was by the gopis. Jayati Tedikam Janmana Braja. This beautiful Gopi Geet was sung to attract Krishna. And it attracted Krishna. Krishna came as a consequence of that beautiful kirtan by the gopis. Now similarly, Satyabrat Muni, he's thinking the only way that I can possibly achieve this high desire of mine, because he doesn't just want to see Balagopal in his heart now, he wants to see him directly. So this is another whole stage. He doesn't just want a spurti. And he's thinking, if I can endear the Lord, if I can attract the Lord by his holy, because his holy names are so powerful. What's that verse? Karle dosha nidhi rajan asti hyeko mahan guna kirtanat eva krishnasya mukta sangha parambrajet. This Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. What is it? How is that? Asti hyeko mahan guna. But there is one good quality amongst this ocean of faults, and that is kirtan of the holy name. This is the reality of the world that we live in. It's filled with so many difficulties in Kali Yuga, but the holy name has the potency to purify the consciousness, to deal with those difficulties, because consciousness is the symptom of life. So everything is happening in our consciousnesses. So if the consciousness becomes disturbed, which is the atmosphere of this age, how are we going to bring that consciousness to a sober place, except by taking shelter of the holy names? And we must take shelter of Tattva and Siddhanta simultaneously. If it's just the holy name, then our focus can be led astray. So Satyabrat Muni is very direct here, and he wants to achieve the object of his inner vision by this Sankirtan. So yesterday we reached the place, we just finished that footnote, and we were just about to start to explain, or Srila Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj is explaining these particular names that Satyabrat Muni is using to appeal to the Lord. This is his kirtan. So this is on page 132. The top of 132. Damodar. O Bhagavan, you are known by the name Damodar because of your exceptional quality of Bhakta Vatsalyata, deep affection for your devotees. Because of this special quality, you agreed to be bound around your waist by your mother, and by this same quality, you appear before the eyes of your devotees. Let them meet you face to face. Sri Satyabrat Muni therefore considers, because of his Bhakta Vatsalyata, I too will be able to directly see him with my own eyes. It's depending on the Lord's kripa, depending on his compassionate nature. He is Bhakta Vatsalyata. He is that most compassionate personality towards his devotees. And we see this replicated by all of his representatives. The acharyas in our line are fully immersed in compassionate acts to bring the jivas out of this darkness of confusion and distraction from their goal. And we have the Srimad Bhagavatam also to open that door. Who is Bhagavatam? Is Krishna directly himself. Krishna swadharamo pachite dharmajanadi bisaha kalona sadrisham isha purana kodanodita. This Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun and has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna for his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Men who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of this age shall get light from this Bhagavad Purana, because this Bhagavad Purana is Krishna directly. And Damodar is one name. The name is non-different. Namna Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. Punashudo Nityanatyam Vinatvam Namino Namaha. That this name and the personality Krishna are non-different. Not easy to understand. But we can understand it because we can experience it. When we chant nicely, Hare Krishna, when we hear that transcendental vibration, Hare Krishna, it has a direct effect on the consciousness every single time. So we either experience a great effect or a lesser effect. But gradually, when our chanting becomes more purified, when our heart's desires become purified, when these material desires become incinerated, Klesh Agni Shubhada. Klesh Agni means the suffering. Agni, fire. Klesh is suffering. Agni is fire. Shubhada. Everything becomes auspicious. This is sadhan bhakti. And it's moving always in the direction of bhav bhakti. We have to have that understanding that our sadhan must be focused on bhav bhakti to be moving. If the sadhan bhakti is not focusing on bhav bhakti, what is the purpose of it? Moksha? Vaikuntha prem? Liberation of some sort? Brahma Gyan? So it must be focusing on bhav bhakti. So Damodar, this name, has that potency. Ananta, O unlimited, endless Lord, or, O Lord, there is no end or limit to your mercy. Have we any experience in this material world of something without limitation? We look at the sky, but that's also limited. We understand there's a limitation, it's space, but where is the end of that? But Ananta means without cessation, without end. It's a wonderful meditation to consider that conception, without end. Ananta, O unlimited, endless Lord, or, O Lord, there is no end or limit to your mercy. We see in Jagai and Madai what fallen wretches they were in Kali Yuga. They had murdered people, thrown old ladies down wells, burnt houses down. What sins didn't Jagai and Madai perform? And Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy on them directly because of Nityananda Prabhu, because of the mercy of Nityananda in particular. And when Yamaraj was considering this, because Yamaraj knows, he has his scribe, Gupta. Oh, what's his name?
Chitragupta.
Chitragupta. His scribe, he asks Yamaraj asks his scribe, Haribol, he came back, okay,
Yes.
Haribol. He asks his scribe about the sins of these retrobates, these sinful persons. And Chitragupta, he's saying, he's grown tired. His arm is tired from writing down all their sins. He's exhausted from writing so many sins down. But now all those sins have just been thrown away, thrown into the ocean. Because Mahaprabhu, by his mercy, this powerful mercy, Karuna Shakti cannot manifest in the spiritual worlds. There's no need for it, because everyone is automatically compassionate towards each other. That Karuna Shakti is one of the reasons why Krishna manifests this material world, so he can demonstrate this wonderful Shakti of Karuna Shakti, because the conditioned souls are suffering so much. So this Karuna Shakti, just like when he's being bound by Mother Yashoda, it's the Karuna Shakti that chases away that Satya, Aishwarya mood that is preventing Mother Yashoda from binding him. It's when Krishna starts to feel sympathy for Mother Yashoda's tremendous efforts. Her perspiration, her flowers are coming out of her hair. So then when that Karuna Shakti comes, then immediately that Aishwarya Shakti has to retreat. And then Krishna allows himself to be bound as a result of the Karuna Shakti, the compassionate mood. So this compassion mood is extraordinary in the Supreme Lord. And here it's saying, there is no limit to your mercy. Thank goodness, because we are so sinful. And there's no limit to Krishna's mercy. If there was a limit, we wouldn't be in the game, we wouldn't be in the running, we'd be finished. No hope at all. Yes, exactly. But because he's so compassionate, he will even accept us. The sage addresses Sri Bhagavan with this name because he desires to attain the Lord's favor in the form of his merciful glance. Prabhu, another name. O Lord, your inconceivable potencies are unlimited, astonishing, and immensely powerful. By addressing the Lord thus, the sage implies, O Lord, by the influence of your inconceivable potency, you can become visible to my eyes, even though you are beyond the grasp of my senses. So the material senses are prakat, and they can't reach the aprakat. They can't conceive. We might do so much various practices like yogis and so on, but you can't actually, they merge into the Brahman, or that Paramatma realization, but they can't actually go to the spiritual reality, the spiritual world. Goloka Vrindavan, that's aprakat, and that needs someone who is already there to pull us in that direction. There's no other way. Doesn't matter what sadhan bhajan we perform. Without that kripa, we cannot, it's inconceivable, because we have, everything is calculated by our material senses. How can you make something from material become spiritual? Unless it's going to be influenced by something that is spiritual. How can you ignite the fire in wood without another piece of wood that's already on fire? How is it possible? You can't. Like the match is on fire, that's a piece of wood, etc. Isha, O supremely independent controller. By this, the sage implies, you are the absolutely independent controller. Independent, Krishna is Shaktiman, totally independent. So you never rely on anyone or anything to exhibit mercy, even to such an unqualified person as me. This is the symptom of extreme humility. It's this humility that's going to attract Krishna. That must be there. It's the antithesis of the proud, conditioned soul. The conditioned soul is conditioned because of his pride. That pride is holding him, his abhiman, his identity, as this particular person with this particular reputation. with this particular family or bank balance or qualification materially, they restrict the jiva going forward when he's holding on to that material identity, abhiman. But when that becomes dissolved, it's described that the subtle body itself has to be dissolved completely. We read in the Bhagavatam, in pastimes like Prithu Maharaj, where he dissolves the subtle body. Even Dhritarashtra, in his yogic trance, he had to dissolve this subtle body and incinerate his body. So that subtle body needs to be dissolved to reach the higher state. O Isha, O supremely independent controller. By this the sage implies you are the absolutely independent controller, so you never rely on any or anything to exhibit mercy, even to such an unqualified person as me. Vishnu, O all-pervasive one, or, O you who are always inclined to enter the secluded caves and groves of Vrindavan. So Vishnu also can reference that. It's not just that supreme maintainer of the material world. It's saying here that another understanding of the word Vishnu is that he can enter the secluded caves and groves of Vrindavan. Here the sage implies you are omnipresent, so you do not have to undergo the difficulty of traveling a long distance to appear directly before my eyes.
Yeah.
Can you come before my eyes? He's begging. Next, Sanatana Goswami reveals another meaning implied by these names. The sage says, although you are Ananta, boundless, and Vishnu, all-pervading, you are also Damodar. You willingly allowed your devotee to bind you around your waist. The meaning is, out of extreme affection for your devotees, there is nothing you will not do. Thus the sage has indicated that this special meaning is present when the names Ananta, Vishnu, and Damodar are considered together. The meaning of the remaining names are the same as before. So this speciality of mercy is really exhibited by Sachinandan Gaurahari. He is the most munificent of all the avatars. He was not requesting the qualification of anyone. He was just liberally benedicting them with prem. Mahaprabhu is Prem Purushottam. Krishna is Leela Purushottam. Ram is Maryad Purushottam. They each have their individual qualities and characteristics, and there's no one more munificent. Munificent means completely giving. Audarya. This Audarya mood is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu holds. So all of our meditation has to be pivoted. It has to be, the key cornerstone is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If Mahaprabhu is merciful, I can go forward. And Mahaprabhu will be merciful to thee for. He was so merciful, he sent Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the Western world. That's an example of his mercy. Such an exemplary, pure personality came into the darkness of the dirty Western world and just dragged those souls out of that state, that pitiful state, by his tremendous affection. Because love is always going to be the vital ingredient. If we start to come too much into the realm of gyan, we might minimize the mood of affection and love. We have to understand what is that transcendental affection, what is that transcendental relationship. That's sambandha. Sambandha is the first stage. And then we come to the abhideya, etc., then the prayojan. So this sambandha, this relationship with Krishna, described in the Jaiva Dharma in the beginning of the first chapter about the three vastus. What are the three vastus? Krishna, Maya, and the Jiva. And the sambandha, gyan, is what is the relationship between these three. This is the nature of Sambandha Gyan. What is the relationship between the Jiva and Krishna, and the Jiva and the material energy, and Krishna and the Jiva and the material energy. If we understand this platform, and it takes Bhaktivinoda Thakur 12 chapters to actually describe all this in great detail, then the sadhak can have a very firm foundation to enter the next stage of the Abhideya, or the Dasamula section of the Jaiva Dharma. So, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. This is the end of his Digdarshani Tika on the 6th verse. So now we come to my Gurudev's Digdarshani Vritti. And this is like called Pratana. These are prayers that Satyabrat Muni is opening his heart fully with the urgency to please fulfill my innermost desires. So the sadhak wants to cultivate this mood. Please fulfill my innermost desires. What are my innermost desires? What do I want to attain? Initially, it's like liberation. When we first become devotees, we want to be liberated from the pain of the material existence. That's actually why we become attracted. Most of us, 99%. Some become attracted because from birth they're exposed to the beauty of the Thakurji, their parents are Vaishnavas, so they naturally have that connection with the Supreme. But most are coming because they want liberation from the suffering. So that has to be purified. That desire has to be purified. When we read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami, he's glorifying liberation in the beginning as being the principal goal of most sadhaks. But then very subtly, about a third of the way through, he starts to talk about the glories of devotional service. It transitions, because liberation is about you, me. It's about the individual soul. It's not about Krishna. It's like Sharanagati is about me. It's not about Krishna. It's about my qualification to surrender. But it's not about bhakti direct. It's the threshold of bhakti. It must be there. But it's the threshold of bhakti, understand? So this, we can say practically anartha of desiring liberation. Asat Trishna, 4 types of anarthas, and one of them is the desire for liberation. Hunger, thirst, just to be liberated from the suffering of this material world. And many of us go through lifetimes trying to achieve this end, unless we're so fortunate to come in contact with a Mahabhagavat who says, actually, my darling child, you can do something more than this liberation. You can go and directly render devotional service. As soon as the mood of service comes in, everything transforms. When we're serving Harinam, when we're serving that Kirtan, when we're serving the Vaishnavas, when we're serving Guru, when we're serving Bhagavat, the Bhagavatam, this mood of service transitions everything. It's the difference between what the devotees follow and what any other religion in the world follows, is this devotional service. Every other religion in the world, and someone can correct me if they think this is a difference here, doesn't talk about direct service to Krishna, to God, because really, they don't really know who God is to serve. How can you serve God if you don't know who He is? This is why we were saying the tremendous gift of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He told us who we can serve. This cowherd boy. First of all, that had to be introduced. Because it has to come from the core of the heart. It can't come from the mind. It can't come from someone who's very clever, they're very able, their minds are sharp, and they can catch significant conceptions. But devotional service is another dimension that we're crying for. And Guru will always encourage us in that direction. So now so this is pratana, this So now, Digdarshini Britti. In the fourth verse, Sri Satyabrat Muni refused to accept the results of performing Vaidhi Bhakti. Varam Deva Moksham Namokshava Dimba. We discussed that. But in this verse, he expresses that he desires to attain the result of Raganuga Bhakti, Braja Prem. He desires nothing else. Our focuses have to be really ekantika, really super one-fixed, one-pointed, no distractions. If we want to attain this, if this is, and this needs training, the consciousness needs to be trained. And it's not so easy because we're surrounded by distractions, especially these mobile phones. You can have any desire in your mind and it can practically, if you want to watch any type of video or anything, it can just be fulfilled in a moment. It's a remarkable object of Maya Devi as well as Krishna. It's like the razor edge. It can go either way. It can be a great blessing to take the various classes and so on, and Harikatha that is pushed there, put there, or it can be the greatest distraction simultaneously. So we're really challenged with this. We really have to be aware, alert to it, to know when to put it down. Those in the line of Sriman Mahaprabhu, and especially those who aspire for the type of prem conceived by Sri Rupa Goswami, Rupanuga Bhaktas, must have this kind of determination. Must. If we want this goal that Rupa Goswami is giving us, we must develop this type of determination. And this will be supported, as we've said so many times today even, from the potency of Nam. And the more you consume Nam, the more potent your consciousness becomes, the more possible it becomes to reject these lower attractions. It's true. It's only by Nam. Mahaprabhu has given us Braja Prem and he's given us the method to achieve it through Harinam and association with Rasik Bhaktas. What do we say? Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravanam, Mathura Vas. This verse.
Srimad Bhagavatam.
I said that at the beginning. Nam Kirtan, Srimad. Oh, Sadhu Sangha. Nam Kirtan, Sadhu Sangha, Bhagavat Shravanam, Murteye Vas, Sri Mathura Vas, residing in the holy places. These 5 principles of bhakti. I didn't get that verse quite right. I'm not sure if it's Sadhu Sangha first. Have you got that verse? Sadhu Sangha Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravanam, Shrimuteye Sevaya, Mathura Vas. That's fine. Anyway, we'll carry on. Those in the line of Sriman Mahaprabhu, and especially those who aspire for the type of prem conceived by Srila Rupa Goswami, Rupanuga Bhaktas, must have this same kind of determination. This determination of the Bhakta is exactly like that of the Chataka bird. The only water the Chataka bird accepts is the rainwater that falls when the Swati Nakshatra constellation is prominent in the sky. The Chataka bird thinks, I do not care if I die or of thirst. I do not even care if I am struck by a thunderbolt. I will only drink the water falling from the Swati Nakshatra. It's hard for us to conceive of that consciousness. Is it true?
Yes.
Do you know about these birds?
Yes, Chetaka birds.
You know about them?
Yes, yes.
Well, what do they do if there's no Swati Nakshatra?
They'll be waiting for that time only, opening the mouth.
Did you find it? Nam Bhajan. Nam. The devotee should think, I only want deep love for Sri Radha Krishna. I do not want anything else. You know, sometimes I've heard different groups of devotees talking a lot about devotee relationships and considering that these are more prominent. But this is material still. If we're relating on the material platform, we want the relationship in service to Radha and Krishna exclusively. That is what we desire. And the relationships with other Vaishnavas will happen by itself as a result of that. I think it's Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravanam, Nam Kirtan, look. I especially yearn to become the maidservant of Sri Radha. Only my Gurudev can write like this. He was not popular amongst the Gaudiyas because he was saying it too prominently. Because the Gaudiya line generally is not going the same speed that my Gurudev wanted to move along. Many Gaudiya Mats rejected the teachings of my Guru. They said that they were too open, they were too confrontational, or too much showing the confidential pastimes too prominently. But my Gurudev said many times, if I don't do this, they will be lost forever. If we don't discuss these topics of being Radha Dasyam, they will be covered over by these material desires, ultimately for liberation, or for something less than Radha Dasyam. Did you find it?
Sadhu Sangha Nam Kirtan.
Oh, Sadhu Sangha, Nam Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravanam.
Shri Murti Shraddhaya Seva.
Yes, this verse. These 5 principal forms of bhakti. May I serve her under the guidance of her intimate friends. Her intimate friends. Her Pran Sakhis and Priya Nam Sakhis. So there's a footnote here. Sri Radha's Pran Sakhis are her manjaris, whom she, like Lalita and Vishaka, are her most affectionate friends, who are always dedicated to pleasing her. Lalita and Vishaka, they think of nothing else except pleasing Sri Radha. And the manjaris, they think of nothing else except serving every moment the desires of Sri Radhika. There's a distinction between the two. One is like a wand of Raj in Vatsalya Prem. So Vatsalya Prem is like an initial entry, we can say, of our understanding the depth of the love within Vrindavan. And then it escalates from there through different stages. Mai, don't hit me. This is the nature of the immaculate and sweet Vatsalya Prem of Braj. In his meditation, Sri Satyabrat Muni saw how Mother Yashoda was kissing Krishna's cheeks, how his earrings were doing the same, and especially how the gopis were kissing Krishna so sweetly. He yearns to see this little Gopal directly. Astonishingly, even after such a sweet vision, his hankering has still not been satiated. Therefore, he will eventually express an even higher desire than that he expresses in this stanza. So we're reading ahead, we're understanding what is going to be his next expression in the 8th verse, this desire to serve Sri Radhika. He wonders, how can I attain love for Sri Krishna and consequently darshan of Mother Yashoda's darling son with my eyes? It is well known that loving service to Sri Krishna is only attained by chanting his holy names. Therefore, in this stanza, Sri Satyabrat Muni performs Nam Sankirtan. In this stanza, yes, in this verse, this is verse 6. Damodeva Nanta, Ananta Vishnu. So all these names of Krishna is what Satyabrat Muni is appealing for. This is why it's called Pratana. He's appealing to Krishna through the principal kirtan of his names. In the previous verse, Sri Satyabrat Muni prayed, may your lotus face in your form of little Gopal, the same form in which you shed streams of tears in fear of your mother, forever appear in my heart. I especially long to see your face in my heart perpetually, as it is being kissed again and again by your mother or by Sri Radha. May that Sri Krishna, who holds a flute to his lips and attracts the entire world and even himself, This is why he appears as Sachinandan Gaurahari. He sees himself, his reflection, in a column. It's described in the Adi Lila, chapter 4. In the Chaitanya, he sees his, and he thinks, I've never seen a more beautiful boy than this in my life. He wants to taste his own beauty. This Adbhuta Madhurima, this is one of his desires. He can only do that by becoming the Ashraya and not the Vishaya. The Vishaya is the one who receives all the affection, but the Ashraya is the one who serves the object of affection. So he becomes the Ashraya so that he can taste his own sweetness. This Adbhuta Madhurima, these three desires he has. Heart perpetually has been kissed at your mother. May that Sri Krishna forever appear. Upon seeing his form, all moving beings become stunned and motionless, and all non-moving things give up their nature and begin to move. The trees, they blossom and they bear all their fruits when Krishna plays his flute. Jamuna Devi becomes stunned as she doesn't move. Sometimes she even flows the opposite direction. The rocks, they melt. The cows, they're taking the grass and their mouths are just open. The grass is just hanging in their mouths. The calves, if they're drinking milk, the milk just is falling from their mouth. They're no longer taking it. Everyone is stunned by the sound of this flute. How magical must that flute sound be? We must cry for that, to hear that flute sound. Krishna, my Gurudev describes, took up playing the flute at a very early age because he thought, my brother Balaram is so big and so handsome and so strong, he will attract all the gopis. What can I do to attract the gopis? Oh, I should learn how to play the flute and attract the gopis with my flute. So he begins at a very early age to play his flute. And this is the most attractive feature. He doesn't need the flute in Dwarka, for example, because it's a different dimension. But in Braj, the flute is his Priya Saka. It's his dearmost friend that he has with him all the time. He always is carrying his flute, unless the gopis steal it. And then he becomes very disturbed. In this stanza, however, Sri Satyavrat Muni wishes to directly behold Sri Krishna's beautiful form with his own eyes. He realized that Sri Krishna will not appear before him unless he performs Nam Kirtan. So now he prays through the medium of Nam Kirtan, beginning with Namo Deva Damodara. Sri Satyavrat Muni had heard about the Kirtan performed by the Braj Gopis when Sri Krishna disappeared from the Ras dance, and the gopis were unable to bear separation from him and began to cry. This song they sang while weeping is famous by the name Gopi Geet, and it is found in Srimad Bhagavatam. With deep love, Srimad Mahaprabhu used to relish this song, especially during the period of his life when he remained in the Gambhira. The following verse is from Gopi Geet. Tava katamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiditam kalmasapaham shravana mangalam shrimadatam bhuvi granatiye bhuridajana. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:31-9. O Krishna, we are always suffering in this material world, but just hearing the immortal nectar of your words and narrations of your pastimes gives us life. These narrations coming from your lips of your pure devotees eradicate one's sinful reactions and bestow the ultimate benediction, Krishna Prem, upon whoever hears them with faith. Your pure devotees broadcast these narrations, which are full of spiritual beauty and opulence all over the world. There is certainly no one more kind and compassionate than those souls who distribute this nectar. There's also a contradictory commentary on this, saying actually these are the enemies because they make everyone become beggars and everyone become miserably searching for Krishna. There's a beautiful commentary. Perhaps my Gurudev will explain it here. But the gopis are being tortured by the pain of separation from Krishna. They were actually saying, the description of your pastimes is not nectar. Yes, my Gurudev explained. Amrita. They are deadly poison. Mrita. Mrita means like death. Mritya. Death. If anyone hears them, their life becomes one of suffering. Poets have sung the glories of narrations about you in vain. At first, the narrations seem to be full of charm and sweetness, but instead of bringing joy to someone's life, they plague him with sorrow. In fact, the people who recite your pastimes are ruining everyone's lives. It's the opposite, this verse, this description. In this verse, the word Burida, most munificent, indicates that those who broadcast narrations about Sri Krishna all over the world are the greatest of all generous people. However, in divine madness, Divyanmad, brought about by the severe pain of being separated from Krishna, the gopis spoke about him sarcastically, just like we went through a little bit of that Brahmaragit, where Sri Radhika is expressing in the same Divyanmad mood this denigrating, putting Krishna down as not being very intelligent. You know, why is he hurting the gopis so extremely? So this is in the Brahmaragit also. The gopis can speak like this. The gopis spoke about him sarcastically. Just see how these people are blazoning the activities of that black boy. They carry a copy of Srimad Bhagavatam, roam from street to street exclaiming, "We do not want money. We just want you to listen to us." For no charge, they cast the net of Krishna's pastimes over the living entities. Those people, now captured, are left to writhe in agony, weeping and wailing, just like the gopis of Uddhav Kyari. Eventually they leave their homes, wealth, possessions, relatives and families. Like beggars or like birds, they live without any permanent residence and maintain themselves with whatever meager edibles are given to them by others, and they sleep wherever they can find a place to lie down. They spend their days and nights in this way, constantly tortured by the pain of being separated from Sri Krishna. If you get a glimpse of Krishna, if you get a glimpse of his sweetness, the separation mood will overtake you completely, and you'll only want to be with Krishna. There won't be anything else that you feel you want to do in this world. There'll be no further obligation. All social ties, all ideas of dharma, etc., will just be swept aside, and you'll just want to spend all your time trying to become close to Krishna. That means residing in the holy dhams with very little material wealth, etc., because you have no material desires. So why would you want some material opulence? And this is what happens. This is directly, we see. And always unhappy, walking around, weeping. But actually, deep inside, they are connecting in such a significant way. They would never want to give this up in a million years, trillion years. Once you catch it, the eagerness, the speciality of that relationship, but you can't have it all straight away. That's where the misery comes in. You have to be like Satyabrat Muni. He's anxious to achieve this. They spend their days and nights in this way, constantly tortured by the pain of being separated from Sri Krishna. My dear friend, one gopi said, those who recite Srimad Bhagavatam are actually not to blame. The sweetness of Krishna's lotus face, beautiful form, flute, qualities and pastimes are responsible for these calamities. Even just hearing about his sweetness, one will enter this miserable condition. Another gopi exclaimed, "O Saki, what to speak of others in this condition? Just look at you. There are no hunters more merciless than those who narrate the pastimes of Sri Krishna. Persons who hear their narrations weep, and then they make their families weep. by abandoning them. Another gopi protested, actually, Sri Krishna himself is the greatest of all those who spread this propaganda. He is the one who made us run away from our homes to meet him when he played on his flute. He drove us mad with love, turned us into beggars, and then left us. Who is more ungrateful than he? When Krishna heard them say all this, he burst into their midst, crying, "Oh, no, no, I am not ungrateful. You are my beloveds, and I am yours. I only left you all to make your remembrance of me more intense." Krishna leaves. He might appear for a moment, just like with Narada Muni. He appeared for a flash, and then he disappeared for the rest of that life, because he wanted to increase the eagerness in Narada Muni's heart. And he's doing the same with the gopis. Do you know where I went? I did not actually leave you. I was right behind you, listening to your song of separation, conversing in the indirect mode of communication called parokshvad. Sri Krishna and the gopis relish their prem for each other. From this example, it is clear that parokshvad, which is common throughout the Vedas, is also employed in the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Parokshvad means you say one thing, but you mean actually another. You're saying something like when in Pranaya Gita, Krishna tells the gopis to go home, but actually in another meaning, he's asking them to please remain. There's nothing to be frightened about. Please remain. That's called parokshvad. There's a description here. I'll read it at the editor's footer. In the same way that Sri Bhagavan did not reveal himself to unqualified people, the Vedas express confidential knowledge in an indirect and concealed manner, because it is not meant to be openly distributed. This indirect form of communication is called parokshvad. People can't understand the direct, or they can't understand the subtle intention of Krishna. So they tend to disbelieve that. So these teachings are covered by this mood of parokshvad. Their disguise is like a code. Krishna's saying one thing, but he actually means another. Sometimes the devotees get confused by this. They try to speak in the same way. That's not correct at all when the materialist tries to do that. That's called cheating or duplicity. But Krishna's not like that. He means something else.
So it's the internal moods that gopis have to catch.
Yes, but that's the subtle mood. But they also have to address what is the nature of the gross words that he's saying. Just like in Pranaya Gita, Krishna is saying go home, they become very miserable. Krishna is telling us to go home, even though he doesn't really mean this. He's being tricky with us. At the same time, they hear his external words, and they reciprocate with his external words and defeat him in Pranaya Gita. They're saying that if you are the guru, then our first service is to you. So we will stay with you. We will not go. Krishna wants to bring that out. But they have to crash through from the gross to the subtle. So it's not direct. It's parokshvad. If anyone tries to adopt the moods of the gopis and hoping to achieve Sri Krishna's mercy, performs Nam Sankirtan with great humility, Krishna will not be able to restrain himself. He will surely appear directly before that person. So with greed, with intensity. This is talking about intensity of greed, which we've just read. All of what we just was reading was about the intensity of greed, which the gopis build through their separation moods. Okay? So many meanings in here. I'm dumbstruck by my Gurudev's commentary. Actually, even I read it many times, but reading it publicly like this, I'm realizing the depth of this Damodarastakam. Teachings are so profound and perfect for this month, where there is so much extra potency in the atmosphere, because it's Kartik, it's Radhika's month, and if we're in association with devotees, and if we're fortunate enough to be in the holy dhams, then even more understanding of these topics will come. But these are remarkable topics that my Guru, we can't understand them straight away. Actually, next year, if you read the same thing again, you would have a totally different appreciation. And if you read again the third year after that, you would have another completely different appreciation. It escalates, it must be. Damodarastakam ki jai, Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai, Gaur Premanandi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Go Premanandi, Hari Bol. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyascha, Patitanam Pavnibhyo, Vaishnave Namo Namaha. Damodarastakam ki jai.